Casserole. I was old. That's it. Well, my name is Traxus. I'm a bard. And I came into the yard. There were ghosts and goblins and this old Grim. But he's not a Grim, but he's rather grim. Let's climb aboard his creepy board and ride it into the sunset, where we will go, where we will not know where we came from or what our name is. I forgot the rest of the song. So there's this young girl that's on here. A young. Why is she on here? Well, Traxus will start to play, his most charming little tune and go over and say, "Hey there, little one, why are you aboard this train?" Who said that?
By the way, she did light up with your music. She was very happy. You know, it was hard to tell that was a grin on her face because of the deformity in her cheek, but she definitely, her eyes lit up, definitely.
Why do you think that no one wants you here?
Well, see, yeah, on the face, it may scare her.
Hmm.
As the wagon rolls out, the rest of the people start to chat amongst each other. They're trying to. It's really kind of funny. They know that where they're headed, they're not supposed to remember things, but they're trying to remember each other's names and such. Like, I think I remember you back in. No, that wasn't me. That was me. That's somebody else. So they're trying to have conversation, but they can't really have a full conversation because they don't want to. They're trying not to remember. So I have it's kind of invigorating. They're trying to have a conversation, but they're doing it not working for them to have a conversation. Well, that's what they think, and it takes. And as they're talking, you watch the Grimm's face, and even from the corner of you only see like a corner of his face because he's facing forward. You can see his body shudder like he's chuckling, like he's laughing almost as he's driving along. There is a place for one of you to go and sit next to him if you would like to talk to get a better dialogue. And it's the seating arrangement. He's actually out on the tongue, so his chair actually is at the front of the wagon. Off a little bit, you can have kind of a private audience with him. And but they like I said, the vehicle's big and cumbersome enough that you're able to move around fairly easily. I mean, you got to crawl a little bit, but it's not really too inconvenient for someone like you to have to walk around. Um, there are there's a diesel as no. I'm online. Yep. There's Dad, everybody. Yay.
Hi, Dad.
Dad says hi. Travis's husband says hi. And Maxwell says hi. The wagon does, as the song suggests, the wagon does head west, um, which is basically seemingly on the main road back towards Elmer's. You don't remember passing any signposts that said Oblivion or anything, so it seems a little nonsensical, but he's not in any big hurry. The steeds that are pulling it are just kind of plodding along.
Hmm.
Could I do a sneaker kick on my EME vectors to I'm assuming that by doing that you wouldn't be able to help like any injuries or anything like that because of these vectors, or would that be a nature check to figure that out, or the nature check to there's no, you saw them get on as ghosts, wasn't it? Yeah. You knew that they had told you that's who would be getting aboard, that it would be the spirits of those that have no longer any connection with this mortal coil. But what I'm mainly asking is, since the little girl is injured because she is a specter, healing magic would not work on her. She's not injured. She's just
It's a defect.
these are yeah, it's a series of really bad things that happen in pre-birth or very young childhood. They're not things that can be fixed. That makes me very, very sad because I was hoping there was something I could do to at least, well, I don't know. I mean,
To rectify the problem. does go up, you
Okay,
know.
so you jump up beside the Grim. Uh, what did we say his name was? Bo?
Um,
Bull.
Bull. That's
Oh
right, Bull.
yeah.
Bull. Yep. How are you doing, Lassie? Did I lose you? Did I lose everyone?
You haven't lost me.
Okay. So no, Jean was talking, but maybe she just stopped talking. So maybe I didn't.
just a moment. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
We're just uh, he says,
He says, oh, it's always this way at the beginning. I have to drive until we get past the noise is so great. You know, if someone's holding around like last night, maybe we can calm down. But it's just so funny that every single time it happens the same way.
how many trips have you been on?
This personally for about 45 years.
Hmm, a lot longer than I thought. It is a long time. Very.
Wait, he's been doing it for what?
He said 45 years.
That's a lot longer than that.
I don't believe I said. And I'm not really sure why you're asking. Are you heading someplace in particular?
Hopefully, back to where I came from in the
Really?
sense of
Really? Is that really where you want to go?
no, just the timeline. I want to be in my own time.
Oh, well, congratulations. You're here.
Oh, good. That's a relief.
He kind of chuckles again. This time it's something that seems a little closer. Puts his hands up his face, says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just messing with you.
All right. But 45 years doesn't seem to make sense with how long you've been going to that village to do it. Or is it somehow time passing?
He raises his hands. He's still got the reins in his hands, but he's holding them loosely. I don't know what you're wanting. I'm a facilitator, and have done this for as long as is necessary. And when you asked how long, 45 seemed like a reasonable number to give you because you seem more concerned with the passage of hours and minutes than you do with the existence of life itself.
Olivia says, I'm not sure you can do anything about it, but I can't hear anyone even though my volume is at 100. Scott is the loudest. So for some reason, people are at vastly different volumes.
I'll try to work that out. Check to see whether or not it's on slobs from OBS first.
No, it's only getting the main capture from the um, yeah.
I can hear a cracker. Crackers. I don't see anything this end. How are you hearing, Travis? Is it sound coming to you that matters, or is that something that's irritating you too?
Give me just a second. Let me see.
Well, that's because you're just so loud. We just have a hard time keeping you down, you know?
I know it's awful.
Um,
How about now? I think that's better.
you sound exactly the same.
I
I don't
know.
understand.
I'm fixing stuff in slobs because
Yeah.
it might have had a different setting because I'm on my computer now instead of John's.
Right.
Nimrod, get down. Get down.
Well, I can hear your dad. Your microphone's really good.
No, that was me yelling even though I had the mute on, so I don't know why you can pick that up.
Ambient sound.
Yeah, but I have the manual mute on my microphone.
You're psychic.
That's true enough.
Sit down. Sit down.
Sit down, Imros. Get down.
Yeah, she was up on the counter.
Oh, 90 pounds on the counter, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
she was trying. She did that when I was over there one time, trying to get a turkey or a chicken or something.
Someone that was like a cat that was in the backyard. So yeah, everyone should be heard easily now.
All right, just check with Olivia and make sure we should be good then. Good. All right. She's.
What do you mean by I'm more concerned with time than life? I just want to be in my time, not in one of these storms somewhere.
And you think the storms are everywhere?
They're often enough that I don't want to get into one.
Okay.
You haven't been in one yet.
Well, she's been in one exactly, he shouts.
Yeah. I was in one. I didn't like the situation.
No, you just were in one.
I was just in one. Yeah, I know.
Last night.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
Do you? I don't think you do.
Otherwise, I thought I was in a storm with all the strange stuff that was going on with the young boy and the different ages of his life. I thought that was a storm.
Nope.
No.
Nope, that was a museum.
That was a museum of his life. Okay.
And that life had nothing to do with actually the iterations of Nikos at all. That was a weirdness trying to explain the oddness of Jonathan. That's all that was.
Well then, I didn't realize we were in a storm.
Last night, I know.
A village, okay.
Just, I did mention the fact that the mist came up from the river and covered the land.
Yeah.
It was a reverse storm because all of the people from different iterations were coming there.
Right.
Okay.
So, Maxwell, did you want to talk to anybody in particular or any observations you want to make about the ride so far?
We're all heading towards oblivion on a cart that is traveling down the road that is life.
Wow. That's spoken like a man who is 96 years old. Well done, wise old man. We're all on a cart towards oblivion anyway. So why does this one have to be a bad ride anyway, right? So one of the old guys turns to you and says, "So what are you in for?" Max, you're about the same age as these people. They didn't know when you got on, so they may have seen you as being one of them.
I got on because my new group of associates decided to get on.
New? You're traveling with the girl and the guitar?
Yes.
And the guy in the green too, then?
All three of them, correct.
Well, you're lucky.
What is that?
You still got family.
I suppose
I had family once.
Well, what happened to them?
Well, when I was young, I married the town's beauty. She was the star of the valley and the light of my life. And between us, we had 6 children, and 2 of them went off to war, and 2 of them went to the city, and the other 2 stayed local. And I had, as far as I can count, somewhere north of 15 grandchildren and 27 at last count great grandchildren.
Well, that's good for you. My wife Tabitha passed away not 10 years ago.
Bless your heart. You can remember her name. I can't hardly remember any of my kids' names, let alone my lovely one. She she left us in the winter of the Revening, and uh, I can't even recall her name. Isn't that horrible?
Hmm.
Traxxas is gonna start to play a happy tune.
Okay, continue to play Happy Tunes. You're playing Happy Tunes for the young lady a minute ago.
Well, now he's playing one, and it's one that they all might know the words, but they might not, but they can hum along if they want to,
Mm,
and get all of trying to get people singing
gotcha.
and not commiserating.
Rooting.
Okay, as you're singing and playing, and several other people will the lights will go on a little bit, and they'll start to sing along. A couple of them like will shrug a shoulder and uh, turn into their seats like they're trying to take a nap or whatever. Of course, you're only half an hour out of town, so it's not like they're going to be sleepy or anything like that. But you do notice something odd is that you're hearing toe tapping from the back of the wagon.
So,
You can drink
yeah,
your
right.
fancy ales, you can drink them by the flagon, but the only brew for the brave and true comes from the drink dragon.
The little girl's tapping her foot, the one that was clubbed earlier.
Hmm.
Wait, so it's no longer club?
That's correct.
Keep it going, Trax. The music seems to be helping her.
I think
And
it's less of the music. I think it's more that she's forgetting what's wrong with her body and therefore her soul. So she won't worry about it anymore.
uh, when that conversation goes down, Bull turns to Terry and says, "So, what you got worth forgetting?"
Nothing.
Mm, you never want to forget anything.
Oh, I certainly probably will. Things that are unimportant. Things that are important, I hope to be able to say. People I know, people I've met.
Fair enough. So you'll remember me forever then, huh?
I'll remember you. I don't know for how long, but the situation is such that you will not be easy to forget.
I don't know how to take that. Is that a compliment or a curse?
No, it's just a matter of there's some things that stick in your mind stronger than others because of the situation that surrounds it.
I see. I see. So,
So small slights that might pass you by, small glances that were appreciative might be forgotten who gave them to you. There's a remembrance of the moment, and then maybe a remembrance later on of a pleasantry, but you might
sure,
forget the face that did it.
sure, sure. I got you.
But my life is mostly left to be lived, and so it's what I'm looking forward to.
No one likes a bragger.
That's right. One of the old guys down the road from you, Maxwell, leans forward and says, uh, "So this Tamara, what would you say your wife's name was?"
Tabitha, my good man.
Tabitha. Tabitha. Well, she sounds like a real star. Did you have children? You alone?
Oh, I had children.
Yeah.
3 of them.
Excellent. Excellent. I I think I had kids. Uh, I I remember the stupid bicycle having to always keep the damn thing treaded all the time. It kept breaking on him.
I did not permit my children such frivolous things as a bicycle.
Mm.
What's a bicycle?
I don't know.
You saw contraptions in the dreams, so you do have frame of a bicycle. But this guy's remembering he remembers the term bicycle.
Yeah.
Remember 2 wheels, bicycle, by.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, weird contraptions I couldn't quite understand that they pedaled.
the sky the road before you starts to turn dusty, like as if you were coming up behind a caravan or something, because the road is just completely cloaked in a brownish haze. The the nimbus light from above seems oddly to have shifted abruptly from the west to the east. I'm sorry, from the east to the west. Even as you were riding away from the sunrise, it now appears that you're approaching a sunset, even though you haven't changed course at all. And you're actually moving perpendicular, so you actually would be following the sun, but the sun actually passes you, but you don't remember the midday.
Well,
Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly, quietly. One
I think
day's
we've
following
gone far enough.
another.
Well, as you're saying that, when you start singing the sunrise song, one of the elderly ladies in the front uh, turns back and looks at you in particular, Traxxas, and goes, "It's beautiful, it's beautiful." And as she says "beautiful" the third time, she vanishes from the wagon.
Okay.
Wonders of wonders, miracles of.
Exactly.
Is this normal? Like, I suppose it might be, but
You're going to come up and ask.
yeah, I'm gonna.
So you're gonna have to motion to have to have Tariel change places with you, because she's currently sitting in the chair next to
I'll just
Pavel.
walk up behind tap Tariel on the front.
As she passes you, I think it's time to leave. I don't want to get caught in this thing wherever it's going to. And apparently, one of them just left.
It's funny as you switch seats and you say, and she says that about she just left. Ball leans forward, and down low on his wagon on the in front of where his knee is a metal bell. And he takes out a little tiny hammer and clangs on it 3 pairs of times. Ding ding, ding ding, ding ding, and then slots the hammer, sits back again. How you doing, young? He turns to Castrax. How you doing, young man?
All right. Since I'm more wondering, do you know of any? I know this coach really doesn't stop till we get to Oblivion, but since you know that we are looking for a new destination, can you recommend any exciting places that we may depart?
Well, let me ask you this: how related are you to Penny Pretty?
He kind of bets an eye. I have no idea who this Penny Pretty is.
Oh, well, that's too bad. How about Darling Jimmy? No, nothing. How about Buckaroo Bonsai? No, nothing.
Okay,
Well,
in meta you are making me want to scream.
why?
Cause that movie, ah,
There's a kick in the pants.
it's good, but
Good, but what?
If it was good, then learn the lessons from the movie.
remember, Petty Pretty, no matter where you go, there you are.
It's not about what time you're in, it's about the life you lead. Because no matter what time you're in, you're still in your timeline.
Well, do you think it's time to get off top?
Traxxas didn't say any of that. That's all in
Sorry,
meta.
No, that was all in meta.
Oh,
That was just
Yeah.
Travis.
I'm
By the way, Max, you have now got them all talking, and each time they talk, each line that they say is a little bit different, suggesting that they've got a little less to hold on to. It's like just by saying the things that their lives were, they're getting their last ounce of joy of memory out of it. And then when they reach back for it, it's not there anymore. So the guy that said he had X number of children and so many grandchildren, a little bit later says, I believe my kids had children, but for the life of me, I can't remember the names. And pretty soon he can't remember that he had kids. But even as he's doing so, he's more animated and more willing to talk. He's, talking about the weather and the road and the dust ahead. He says, "What do you think? What do you think of my fine driver Bull? Isn't he a great man?"
Interesting one to be sure.
Right, Gene. You're up talking to Bull. This is actually one of the guys talking.
Well, I
about
thought I changed seats with Catherine.
No.
You did.
You did switch seats, and as I said, the seat with Bull is separated from the rest of the wagon, so the noises and such of the wagon's movement will block out your ability to communicate with people behind.
Oh.
So when you were, oh, I see what you're saying. You're
just
right.
saying that Maxwell is the one being
Maxwell's
talked to right now.
That's right. My bad. No, but it was my bad. Maxwell is. Yeah, Maxwell took the seat up front. That's you're right.
No,
Gene.
Kasrak took the seat up front.
Sorry. Yeah, Kasrak took the seat. But this conversation with Maxwell. Right.
Yeah.
So therefore, yeah. My bad. So yeah, therefore you could overhear it, I suppose. And I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, so they're more than willing to talk with you, Max. So they're asking you more questions, like what kind of work did you do before you got on board the wagon? What was your occupation, Max?
Oh, this and that. After I made something for myself in the merchant industry, I experimented with real estate.
Real estate. That's
a hobby.
Is that kind of new? Some dark new magic?
New. Well, maybe. Some people can work some very devious things with it, but no. I dabbled in maximizing real estate yield. Combining businesses and that sort of thing.
Oh, I used to be a farmer. I had 96 acres and a beautiful array of the loveliest apple trees you could possibly imagine.
I also, at one point, went into this market of food products. It was rather boring, so I got out.
Food, glorious food.
Sausage and mustard.
Nice. Everybody in the back of the wagon's now singing again. The little girl's voice is heard singing alongside, and you no longer hear that whistling sound from her teeth problem. And you look back, and you're looking at a sweet young girl. She still has a weird bulb on the side of her cheek, but her mouth issues have cleared up, and she's just singing along happily as the rest. She even whistles a bit. So.
Good.
So what'd you want to talk to Bull about?
Kasrak?
Kasrak.
I was just trying to see if he knew any locales that we may get a fresh start at, but...
Yes, and his attitude is, you're exactly right. Anywhere is a perfectly good place to do that.
I think you also wanted to ask him why the lady disappeared.
Oh yes.
That's what
and-
prompted you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
Not that we're on a train of forgetfulness or anything.
Yeah, not that you had forgotten why you came up here to ask him a question.
Is it common for your passengers to just disappear spontaneously?
Disappear? Nobody disappears.
Well, a lady in the back did seem to vindicate.
Oh
Didn't
no,
you?
didn't hear what she said? She said it's beautiful, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. You find something find something that beautiful, you don't leave it. You experience it. You stay and breathe the aroma of the flowers in. You take in the sights, the very moment of your existence. This is not a trip of arrival. This is a trip of discovery.
So that's how this works. Okay.
What's really important to you, Kasarak?
A little bit ago, I could have given you an answer. Now, I must admit.
He starts laughing again. He says, "Now you're getting it. Now you're getting it, young man. Now you've got plenty of years left. It'll come back to you."
I just don't know where to go. My path is.
Okay,
So-
okay, stop. He puts his hand on your knee. Do you feel it? He breathes in deeply, exhales heartily. Do you feel it?
I feel.
Uncomfortable that a dwarf is touching your knee. He laughs, pats you on the same knee twice. Says, "Don't worry about it, young man. Don't worry about it, young man."
So you.
Meanwhile, the guy that's talking to Maxwell about the farm can't remember how many acres he had. But he says, "Yeah, you ever drive a tractor, Max? Ever feel the breeze on your face from the power of those spirits driving those wheels?"
I had people to do that for me.
Had servants, did you?
Yes.
About that time, another guy, a few spaces away, the one that couldn't remember his wife's name, looks up and goes, "My lord, look at that! Look at that!" And he's looking off the side of the wagon. He goes, driver, this is my stop! Driver, this is my stop!" And Bull pulls the wagon to a complete stop. The guy inhales, and he does this strange little ritual. It looks like he's doing like a series of deep knee bends, putting his arms out in front of him, breathing in heavily and exhaling as he stands upright. He goes, "I'm ready," and literally steps off the side of the wagon and vanishes. As soon as he vanishes, Bull reaches down, grabs the little hammer, ding ding, ding ding, ding ding, puts the hammer away and starts driving again.
Now entering a round trip of Walt Disney's Magical Kingdom.
The little girl's tugging on your sleeve, Traxxas, and asking if you'd seen Green Sleeves.
Sure.
She claps her hands and goes back and sits down.
Alas, my love, he do me wrong to cast me off discourteously.
She sways side to side as you're singing, dreamily.
For I have loved you so well to cast me off. No, I forgot the words. Anyways.
That's okay. As
This was all my joy, green fleece was my...
This is my show, I'll thank you very much.
This was my heart of gold.
do not steal from me my idiom, sir. Yes, my idiom.
He changes keys on her. So it sounds like she's singing out of tune.
All right. So as the singing continues, the little girl's swaying back and forth, draws a bit of attention to her cheek. You notice that that raised right cheek is equalizing, and there are tears running down her face. And as she's thinking of that, she's also aging. You notice that she's no longer the young child, but she's actually grown probably almost a foot in height, gained a little bit of weight as she's listening. Meanwhile, Bowl turns to Kasserek and says, "So, if you have this gift of life bringing, uh, what do you intend to do with it, young man? What is your goal in life?"
Hmm. It was to be, to spread the blessings of the Green Veil, but
Oh yes, yes, and when you age and the colors all run to gray, what will you do?
I have a question about that real quick, if I may interrupt. If not, it's fine.
Oh, we did get something in the mail. Health net, that's yours. Yeah, all for you today.
I have a question.
Sure.
Why do people do that? Not to. Well, I'm not trying to stick you up, but I mean, like, they always say, like, share the blessings of the green veil, but they're never really, like, sure on what those are. What are the blessings of the green veil?
Life.
Right, but if you're a priest that's traveling around doing that, what actually is your what's your like calling to go do? Are you meant to go plant trees? Are you meant to heal the sick? Or
Well, I think
Depends on.
that would be a question that Traxxas would ask Kasserak on the route, not necessarily in this condition because we were in India. This is in an in-game moment, but yeah, I can see that question needing to be answered a little more clearly. But
I just meant in general in all the veils. Like, is there a set thing you're supposed to do?
ooh, that was in that original. We have it in the Vademecum.
and then I
We haven't translated that to the players very well, so that's
Well,
my
I don't
fault.
think any of them have. No, I don't think any of them have like decided this is what you're supposed to do with them.
Oh no, that's true. There has to.
well, that's because in none of the veils are not really, that would, to my eyes, that would fall into the realm of religion, and the veils are not really religious in nature. They're more
No,
philosophy.
but people who play to the roles of cleric do take on that kind of a motif, is what he's getting at.
Yeah.
Because
So
you just equated to that by saying that you would want to share the blessings of the veils of the green veil, but we haven't defined what those are yet. So
well, wouldn't it be like on an individual basis, like
What
some
that
people
person
may,
wants to do.
yeah, that's what I'm actually wondering as well. Like Kazarek, I would probably want to heal the sick more than plant trees, or possibly do both if I could, because it serves the overall purpose of bringing life to Nico.
right, but you could also open an orphanage and take care of children that don't have a place, or you could hunt down the undead. You know, there's all kinds of ways that you could interpret that. And so the point is that we need to have the priests kind of define for that for themselves what that is. So it's a deeper question, I guess, than me just asking it. What your goal is, but
I didn't mean to derail. I just
no. That's why I said that this is a this is exactly kind of conversation that I could see Traxxas and Kasserek having on an ongoing basis going forward. It's like you asked that old man, you asked Bowl a question, and I got to thinking about what you asked, that kind
yeah.
of thing. So
Okay.
anyway, so Bowl says, well, when are you going to start this grand mission of yours?
It's as soon as I find, I guess, a suitable place in need.
Yeah, I gotcha. Just as assuredly as I got Terrio, I gotcha. Pats you on the knee again. It says, "Hey, send Maxwell up. I want to talk to him if I could."
All right. He'll go back and just kind of go back to Maxwell and says, Bull would like a word with you if you don't mind. He's an interesting fellow.
I suppose. I'll get up and go forward to Bull.
Okay. When you plug down, the older men around you start asking you about your family and ask Kasarak about where he came from and what his what he loves out of life and what he's hoping to accomplish and that kind of thing.
Okay, so I came from the. Okay, dang it. In that, I want to say I came from the Inundaran Forest, but that's not exactly true because that's just where I met Miri.
Well, in some ways, metaphysically, your life didn't begin before you saw her starry eyes.
Oh, not anymore. He's forgotten about that. Where did you want to come from, Scott?
Yeah, tell us a story you want it to be. Don't tell us what has happened in the past. And while you're thinking about that, when Max makes his way up to the front, Bull says, "Hey, you're an odd feller. You running backwards?
What do you mean?
You
I'm
running
sitting here.
backwards.
I'm sitting here in this chair next to you. I'm not locomoting in any way.
He kind of grins at you, raises an eyebrow, and goes, "No, seriously, where did you come from? And where are you going?"
My tale should begin now. I would like to forget certain parts of my past.
Oh, yeah? What do you want to give up?
Certain mistakes that people in my life made.
Things that you've done wrong?
You could say that, but it's up to perspective, to be honest.
Wow, you're wise and you're old, but you're not on here headed home. You're headed out. So that's why I'm asking. Are you living backwards?
I'm afraid you're going to have to clarify, my friend. What do you mean by backwards?
It sounds like you've already reached all the conclusions in the universe, and you're just now deciding whether or not they're true or not.
Oh no, I'm also seeking to rectify some of the mistakes I made, and two of the components I've settled on to fix these mistakes are immortality and a great amount of capital.
Yeah, let me grab my saber. I'll be right there.
If not one, then the other.
If you can't get old, you want to get rich.
Right.
Heroes live forever, kid, but legends never die.
That's it. So,
Did he say immorality?
Yeah, exactly.
I could go for some of that.
And then another one of the ladies in the back goes, "It's a miracle! It's a miracle!" and vanishes. Again, he reaches down. Ding, 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 ding. That's the kind I like. They're coming and going at the same time.
Yes.
Yes. So, uh, you fixing to break things, or are you fixing to make things?
It depends which helps me achieve my goal faster.
Well, All right, that's a bit enigmatic, and I really can't work with that much. Your as I said, your wisdom is rising and before my eyes, and it's downright terrifying, young man.
Young man. Well, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. You know, compared to the elves, I am a whippersnapper, I guess.
Excuse me, I'm just one of the
Where's the music going after sunrise sunset? That melancholy was a bit much for some of them. So, what did you play next?
Oh, I've been playing lots of different things.
I'm just asking for another piece to play with here.
Uh, Falavala bamba.
Nice.
Falavala bamba. Yo necesito de bota de gracia.
Nice. So the young lady in the back now gets up, and she's, like I said, she's aged quite a bit, and she's moving it like she owns it back there in the back of the wagon by herself. And some of the elder men are actually perking up and looking towards the back, and have moved several seats back towards where she is. They're not being rude or anything like that, but they're definitely gawping.
Appreciating
Yes.
the view.
Yes. And some of them have actually seemed to have gotten a bit younger too, as one of them actually keeps throwing bags overboard. You didn't see him board with any, but every once in a while they'll throw a bag, and the bag hits the ground with a poof of dust, and leaves like a crater-like mark on the ground where it impacted.
Ariel asked him, "What are you throwing out?"
Oh, is that last bunch? That was my anger. Been carrying it around for a long time. I cut off my second and third sons when they wouldn't stop bickering by throwing them out of the house, and I regretted that. And my anger over that's been a real burden. I had to get rid of it. He says, and this one, he turns to the next one. He says, this one was well, let's just say it's my own personal lechery, and he throws it out, and it hits with like a ton of bricks, and you can actually see the bag kind of crack open and then fall to dust as small idols were inside of it, little tiny metal objects in the shape of female bodies and such.
She's taking in. She's beginning to understand they're unloading themselves of all the negativity in their lives. And it's lightening their burden of their spirit.
That's pretty close. One of the young ladies on board says to you, Terrio, says, whatever you do, don't have children.
It's a long time before those of my kind have children.
She shakes her head. She says, "Trust me, youngin, it'll happen before you know it. Just don't do it. They're like a disease. All they do is suck you dry and kick you out on the curb when you're old." Of course, that sets off several of the others who start arguing with her. Pretty soon, their arguments turn to laughter because they can't even remember what they're arguing about. One of the old men gets up on top of the thing while he's watching the young lady dance in the back. He gets clear up on top, stands up very unbalanced on the top center rail between the two rows of seats, and starts flapping his arms. He goes, "I'm light as a bird! I'm light as a bird!" and just vanishes just in a bright flash of light. The wagon driver Bo comes up to a complete stop, reaches down and rings the bell again. He says, "We won't have any injuries in the process. Please leave in an orderly fashion." And then starts to drive again. Let's see. So, Castrak, after they've asked you about your origins and everything, they now are turning to your faith. They want to talk about religion, what God's done for you, and how you came to your understanding of your faith.
That, then, oh God.
Oh God, that's a good answer. Oh God, that's one way to say you met God. Is oh God, there he was.
Ventress seemed to call to me, and I, I at first thought my purpose was to actually be out in the world healing the sick, but it turned out to be almost like a school, or not really a school. How to put this? I guess a monastery would be the proper term. I was
A cloister.
studying.
You were in a
Yes.
you were in a cloister
Better than being in an oyster.
or in a cluster.
Yeah, it's
A
better than both.
cloister is a school for monks or brothers or.
Right, right. But
Yeah.
I'm asking how he came to his faith. They're wanting to talk about how you come to belief.
Can it seemed like belief in healing in life was came natural to me because I had always tended to the trees and animals of the forest, and I
Yeah, but how
eventually,
much? Yeah, one of the old men goes, "Yeah, but how much work is that really take? I mean, a squirrel's smart enough not to jump off a limb and break its leg. You know, birds don't crash into trees and get hurt. That's just silly."
um, yo, cock,
Watch out for that tree.
cock my head at the guy. You'd actually be surprised how many injuries animals can suffer. Some are not as smart as others, let's just say.
Yeah, one of them says, "Yeah, like those brethren in the red can hardly stand having them around. They're just bossing you around all the time." And another one says, "What are you talking about? At least red gives discipline and control to their lives. They don't flagrant and whiners like those black veils." And the two of them start bickering, and after a bit, they kind of find each other laughing and bumping each other's shoulders, talking about the broadcast and how that changed the world.
There was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. One-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater.
Exactly.
Sure looks strange to me.
The young lady in the back has become more reserved. She's looks like she's maybe in her mid 40s now. Tears are running down her cheeks. Again, look of sobriety on her face, almost like grim determination.
One song, I have but one song. One song only for you. My heart tenderly beating, ever entreating, constantly true. Anyone know where that song's from?
Yes.
So,
It's one of
Well,
the
there
Walt
you go.
Disney movies. I think it's Sleeping Beauty.
I think so too.
Nice. Oh, as you're singing that song, the youngish lady who's now in her 40s raises her finger like in protest, like that's enough. She waits until you finish, but she holds her arm up there almost in. It's like a sign of rebellion almost against whatever your song is. Even though her tears are flowing and her head is shaking the whole time, she still holds that hand up in a one finger to the sky protest, almost like she's
Yeah.
she's responding in a way that doesn't really make sense.
Stop in the name of love before you break my heart.
Nice. One of the guys, one of the guys next to you, Maxwell, says, "Hey, leans forward and says, hey, Max, I need to talk to Bull for a second. Can I trade seats with you?"
movie's not as good as the book.
Goes.
Oh, thanks. By the way, I want to thank you, Max. You've really made me see the light. And if I could, I'd ask permission to look up Tabitha when I get there.
What?
Well,
You want to research my wife?
you said you forgotten her.
I did not.
Oh,
I could never forget my wife.
damn it. He says, okay, never mind then. Kind of shrugs his shoulders, says, nonetheless, I think this is my stop, and swings down off of the wagon, and as his feet would touch the ground, he crumbles to dust all the way up to his hand grip. Once again, the driver leans over, rings the bell.
Well, that's
Bing,
a different
bing,
one.
Bing, 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 bing.
So
Yeah.
how many more?
There's something. There's still 4 people on the wagon. The guy who had the most memories of all, sitting in the center of the wagon, who keeps telling about his 94 kids and all that kind of stuff, he's still around. The young lady on the back, and then this old couple that have just been sitting huddled together, and they look kind of wide-eyed, like they almost don't feel like they're supposed to be here, kind of thing.
How, like, how old does the couple look?
They look like they're in their probably mid-50s.
Okay.
Still young enough to possibly have living children. You don't recall exactly when they got on board, but they're. The one thing about them is they have slightly different skin coloration from each other. One of them's a little darker, swarthy skinned, and the other one's fairer, milder skinned.
Wait, we didn't notice them get on.
Well, there was a lot of people, so you really,
yeah.
really paid attention to every single one of them. You didn't even notice the little girl was on until the end. So. The youngest lady that was sitting in the back moves forward now, and sits down next to Tario. Says,
How are you doing?
How am I doing? I couldn't be better. It couldn't be better. It's amazing when you remember who you are, how the imperfections in life can be overcome.
I agree with you.
Yep. So I gotta be leaving here pretty soon. She says, but I had to come up and tell you to ignore what that other woman said. Family can be a blessing even if they aren't yours. You're the people who you touch in life become your children, and so it doesn't matter whether you do or whether you don't. Just realize that you need to live instead of waiting for life.
I will take that to heart, and that is what I hope to do. Live.
Well, if you ever meet him, I'm sure Hart would be glad to get that message, but I don't think you should take the message to him particularly.
Yeah, he's over in Candle Scratch.
But she turns to the driver and calls out, "I think I'm ready now," and turns to Traxxas and says, "Thank you. I was afraid this trip was going to be terrifying, and you've made it not only bearable but understandable. And I'd say I'll never forget you, but that is not going to unfortunately be able to be a possibility."
Traxxas makes a really fancy flourish on his Tiorbo and whips up his hat and bows, and then gives her a hug.
And when you put your arms around her, you hear her whisper into your ear, "That'll do, pig," and vanish in your arms. Driver leans down, rings the bell. Bing, 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 bing. He leans over and tells Max, "I think Hey, he leans back over the wagon before he takes off again and says, "Hey, Max, you your friends probably want to be getting off pretty soon. We've only got a couple more to go, and there's got to be some mystery in life, don't you know?"
Understood.
Is that an invitation to,
You
as they
mark.
say, vamoose?
Just
Yeah.
giving you a warning. Anywhere along here, be your best opportunity. You've passed up some good ones, but this could be the best.
Mystery. I live on a houseboat in an estuary.
Looks
All right.
like we're gonna have to jump.
Okay. I'm
Yeah, gather your pack and
party people.
and
I'm leaving.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it gets down off the back of the wagon.
Yes.
Dead
Get
since
down.
1993. I'd be foolish to ignore the possibility that if we've ever actually met, you might have hated me.
And Bull reaches down for his little hammer, like he's gonna ring the bell, and looks up at you guys and shakes it at you instead, like, "Yeah, it's not your turn yet," and puts the hammer back in the holder and drives off. You're standing in a road in the middle of blackish skies. It's towards dark. That you do hear a distant rumble of thunder, and on the horizon you can see a thundercloud is doing the beautiful dance. The air is close to 80 degrees outside. A slight breeze coming to you from the direction of that cloud bears a bit of coolness on it. From here, the roadway splits into three different directions. The main road you came in, where the wagon came from, and then two forks ahead. The wagon did take the one to the left, but didn't go but maybe 200 yards before it vanished.
Traxus would like to look down the fork and see which path is less traveled.
Okay, the one to the right is clearly less traveled. It looks like it's a relatively newly broken road. It's two wheel tracks, so wagons have made it down it, but they are there's a very very clearly a grass hedgerow, if you will, growing up the middle between them, and the depth of it suggests that may be actually the older of the two paths, like the newer path might have been made after the older one.
Why would
The
you
less
go
traveled.
down that path when that seems to be a much better traveled path? Hopefully, we can find some habitation somewhere.
I'll answer that question in just a moment.
He's finishing nibbling on what he's nibbling on.
I'm also going to try to do a nature check to tell what type of to try and tell by the terrain where we might be.
Well, that's $64,000 question, isn't it? You do see ahead of you the main road sloping downward towards what's probably a river valley. There are trees along the central core line of the valley ahead of you, but the roadway behind you appears to have come from what looks like sandy desert type terrain. Rough, and a few saguaro, the big barrel cactuses behind you.
Uh,
Even though you've been traveling fundamentally east-west, this road is facing north. The primary road is north and south behind you, and the first branch stays north by northwest, and the other goes almost northeast. So it's about a 55-degree angle between the two.
so Traxus flourishes with his Teorbo, and then he begins to speak. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other just as far, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Thank you, Frost, right?
Charleston.
Yep,
Robert
Robert
Frost.
Frost.
Robert Frost.
Good stuff.
How did you ask me which one I would take?
Well, I don't want to go down that road. I want to go down the road where I might find somebody at the end of it.
Where is your sense of adventure?
Adventure. Right now we have a storm bearing down on us. We have limited supplies because we did not refresh our supplies in the town. Uh, and we don't know where we are. So I'd like to find someplace where we can find out where
That
we
was the
are.
loudest, deepest raspberry I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any sign of light anywhere? Like a halo of light?
Yeah, there's actually in each direction. Back behind you, you see the lights of what might be a small outpost on the edge of the desert. Down the well-traveled pathway, you see a dull glow, like possibly from a campfire, somewhere within the depths of the little copse of trees ahead of you. And down the other road, you see brightly colored lights, 6 or 8 of them dancing down the main pathway of the road itself, maybe less than a quarter mile away.
You mean like dancing lights?
Like orbs of different colors. There's a blue and a green and an orange, and they scintillate and shift, so they're not the same universally, but it's like they're dancing and spinning around each other.
Almost like they're in orbit around
No, it's just more
something.
like it's more like just lights. Think along the lines of possible will-o-wisps or other, natural. Maybe it's beings, could be fairies or pixies or something. Who knows?
It's
But
swamp gas.
there's some light in each direction.
It's
Uh,
tree farts.
the wind is fundamentally coming from behind you, so the storm is actually moving out from over the desert. It seems odd that a cool breeze would be accompanying such a storm, but nonetheless, it seems to be pushing a cool breeze ahead of itself.
Also, like you said, on the side behind us, it's desert, but it seems to lead into forest ahead of us.
Yes.
Like, how many miles? Well, how far behind us is the desert before it turns into forest? I'm trying to figure out whether that is.
Well,
Like,
you can just, the hills behind you are covered with occasional standing saguaro cactus and loose bramble. There's not a lot of, huge amounts of life ahead back that direction. Ahead of you, within your sight range, like I said, you're seeing a river valley. So even if it's still in desert climes, the tree line just seems to be slightly more accommodating than the desert behind you. Although if you headed towards the desert, you'd be getting to a civilization, like I said, because you see the lights of a town.
Well, Traxxas takes a couple of steps down the untrodden path.
Mm-hmm. What is Maxwell's choice? Maxwell's the one that said this is time to get off, and now that we're off, we have to figure out where we're going. So what does Max want to do? He's currently muted.
He clearly wants to roll up and sleep.
Yep. He probably did. He just probably pulled out his little lean-to tent and started putting it together. There's as good as any place to stop. We're going to stop for the night anyway. Choice will still be there in the morning.
I guess I too.
Traxxas will set up his very, very small, shambled lean-to.
Just long enough to cover the tiara bow.
Yeah, pretty much. He doesn't even fully cover himself.
Right, he's got to. You have to lay at an angle around the tiara bow to keep it protected.
Yeah, he snuggles it all the night. He's used to traveling long distances and not carrying much at all because wherever you go, there you are, and more than likely you'll find friends that'll welcome you into their home.
About Casarac.
Oh, Kazarek wants to. He actually wants to go into the tree line because his plan is to use an entangle spell to make brambles in between two trees to use as a hammock to sleep.
Wow, that's a stretch for entangle. How about just use Druidcraft?
Yeah, Druidcraft will work too.
Druidcraft at one end for the knot, Druidcraft
No.
at the other end for the knot. And then
He wants to be really, like, cocooned up here. He wants to feel safe and secure.
No, Druidcraft will.
He wants to wake up tomorrow as a butterfly, is what he's saying.
That's right. Okay, yes. Okay, Dylan. You want to have hair instead of a bony crest. I get it.
Um,
What was that? Tariel?
so no decision is going to be made tonight.
Well, we asked Max, and Max was non-committal, so we determined he just started making his camp right here on the road.
Oh.
On the road. Okay.
Say, that way, Max is back. Max, you came from your reverie. They were trying to ask you. You probably fell asleep. So, what do you want to do? You got a clear road back to a outpost on the edge of a desert. You have a busy-looking road that goes down into a forest that has what looks to be a campfire burning under its canopy, and the road less traveled by has trees and such, but you see a group of lights cavorting and dancing some
I
distance
will
down the roadway.
head immediately to the outpost by the desert.
Okay, so you're backtracking from the direction the wagon came, back up towards the desert.
Well, Traxxas has already set up his lane too, so.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, as we said, it doesn't take much to put it up, tear it down either. So if he chooses to take it up, it wouldn't be too long, and it probably didn't take long to set up either. But what is Tariel's action going to be when Max
He's
starts
waiting
stretching?
for the other ones to decide.
Max didn't even bother waiting. He just stood there for a while, staring,
Max,
and then turned around and starts walking up the road towards the town.
How far is the town away?
Oh, you can just see the edges of it, so it's probably less than a mile up the old road.
It's only a quarter of a mile to the campfire ahead of us, and it's even less.
He's nonetheless already said without question he started walking, so he's headed that
She'll
direction.
join him, but she's not going to let him go by himself. You guys can come or stay. We'll pick you up in the morning.
Dear Casarac, do you wish to stay with me inside the forest's way?
I actually would because I'm more at home in the forest as it is.
I am too,
For
but
the moment.
I'm not sure Maxwell can make it all the way there. I'm not.
Yeah. Max shoves the bag over to the other shoulder and looks back.
You're accompanying me.
Maxwell, it's bad enough that we split the party, but to let you go off by yourself into a place that we know nothing about does not seem to be the wisest move.
I appreciate your concern, but I assure you, I will fare just fine. Would you like me to die of a broken spine from sleeping on the hard ground?
Well, no, but we could raise a
Then it's
branch from
decided.
the trees and make you a nice, pleasant pine bough
Yeah, as you say that, he says, then it's decided, and keeps trudging up towards the town.
She follows him.
Okay. So, Kasserek, you wanted to stay here where Traxxas is already set up, or did you want to go down to the actual valley?
I actually want to get a look at the valley and see what this section of nature has in it and see how the valley is faring in general.
Okay.
Well, it's
So
pitch black at night on Nikos, isn't it?
Yep, because there's no solar body in the sky. There's no moon, no stars. So the light, you'll have to light another source before you get there, because it's already dark enough that you'll be walking into the forest in the dark. The glow of the forest, the glow of the fires is visible from here, but as you descend down towards it, the terrain itself will occlude that light source. So you're gonna light a torch or something?
Just to be clear, so everyone knows where I'm at.
Right.
Tractor's just set up by the side of the road, on the road less traveled by, towards the direction of where those
lights were.
That's where he's setting up camp.
Gotcha.
For himself.
And then everyone will figure things out in the morning, reconvening at that point.
Okay.
All right. So let's deal with the shortest trip is going to be Traxxas, who gets himself set up. Are you going to set up a small campfire, or are you just going to just cold camp it?
No, he's not hungry. He's just gonna sleep.
Okay.
Well, not that he really needs to sleep, but yeah.
Thematically,
play himself to sleep.
Right.
Strumming gently.
Alrighty. Next shortest would be Kasserek, who finds himself at the tree line. You lit a torch, and the trees here are knotted and tangled. The roadway actually has the canopy cut from its embrace, so that there is almost like a tunnel bored into the forest. Straight walled on the sides, and then the canopy is cut at a curve. At the highest point is probably 20 feet in the air. Even as you start to reach the edge of the forest, the wind has picked up considerably from behind, and the cool of the weather gives portent of a chill to come. It seems incongruous with the desert being so close for that storm to be so cold, and yet you feel a shiver run up your spine from its embrace.
Okay.
You're not yet in sight of the source of the light, but you can now see it its glow over the edge of the roadway ahead of you, where there's a rise in the pathway.
How close is the storm to me?
Well, you really can't make it out any longer because it's pitch black outside, and you've been moving down the pathway for some amount of time, probably half an hour.
I don't suppose a produced flame would help in this situation for the light.
Produced flame? Well, produced flame causes something to light on fire, and what's the duration of produced flame? Isn't that a cantrip?
Yeah.
So it's only 1 minute? So you cause a burst of light so that you can see a distance, and you'll see wildlife, way more than you would expect, jumping back and moving away from you from the light source. Most of which looking like small furry animals, but also possibly maybe some bipedal forms as well.
Okay. Do any of them that I can see look like sick or injured, or?
Oh, no. It's quite verdant here.
Even though the trees are gnarled, that is.
The tree's gnarled and bent, and such just suggests that it's an older growth. That's all.
Okay.
It actually means that it's healthier.
Okay.
So it means that they were almost hurt and damaged before, but they were strong enough to grow around it again.
Right.
So this isn't like a blighted ground or something like that. That was his concern.
Not any time in the recent past, although the rutted and gnarly nature of the trees does suggest that something bad might have happened here a long time ago.
But nothing bad is happening immediately here now, so he'll kind
Well,
of
other than the fact that I told you there were a few bipedal forms that leaped away from you in the darkness when you put up the bright light, it scared them away.
Could I get
Bipeds in a forest.
I probably couldn't get a good look at these forms because it was so quick, but could I?
Well, they're gangly and awkward looking with really big eyes. Looks like they are nocturnal in nature. These big saucer-like eyes and small prognathic little snouts. The coloration was the color of the wood around, so it wasn't too obvious until they started moving, and you kind of panicked them with the bright light. But you do remember very clearly that their heads could almost turn 180 degrees, so they were actually looking at you as they were running away.
Okay, that's a little disconcerting. How many of these creatures did I see?
Just 2 or 3.
Okay. I'm actually gonna head back to Traxxas at this point and just kind of make
discretion being the better part of valor.
Make a mental note of this situation and
you literally just make it to the edge of the tree line as the cold blasts come, and now you're going to walk back across the same terrain again back up the hill.
Is there a place I could camp for the night that would not appear to be too dangerous, where I don't have to take the cold blast?
Right there near the roadway, in between some of the trees. There's enough room to pitch a tent. But you would be under the cover of the trees, and you wouldn't be maybe 60 feet from where you saw the little guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna pitch my tent here and just.
All by yourself?
All by himself.
Okay.
I mean,
I thought he was gonna come back by me.
Well, he thought about it, and then I'm just clarifying whether he's going to stay or whether he's going to come back.
Well, how cold were the blasts? Was it like intensely cold, or?
It was enough to send a shiver up your spine. It's been 80 degrees, and all of a sudden you get a blast of chill. So it's probably, in the 50s. Just one burst of wind.
You know what? Strength in numbers. I'm actually gonna try and head back up.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. As you return back out, you'll feel the first of the misty precursors of the rainstorm that's coming. Meanwhile, you guys climb the hill against the wind and find yourself outside of a adobe structure. It's a low, maybe 6-foot wall that rises to 8 foot at points where there is a series of torches, one on each side at the top of each of these towers. So every 20 feet or so is another tower, and the torches, you figure that the torches must surely run this place out of wood pretty quickly because it's a lot of light, until you realize that the torches actually are in the shape of arms, and in each arm is a pile of golden pebbles pushed together to create the light. So it's great.
Gravelings.
Right.
Okay. Well,
so the light is a uniform glow instead of the pulsing light of torches.
Yeah.
So it's somewhat more comforting, and it also makes the shadows a little more stark.
Yeah. Well,
you'll find that the towers completely surround the structure, and it's probably 300 feet to a side, and there is one main gate that stands 15 feet at the top, and the 4 arms that hold the gravelings actually cup inward, so that the fingers lattice into the fingers are overlong, and it creates a lattice work that the gravelings, which are considerably more, are bundled together so that there is actually a billow of smoke and heat rising from it.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and knock on the gate and see if we can gain
Well,
it.
the gate stands open, surprisingly, and inside you can see a courtyard surrounded by uh, a lattice of work holding up what looks to be vines of some sort that provide an over canopy around the interior wall of a U-shaped building. Uh, think hacienda in terms of house shape. It's adobe, a U-shaped building with the primary entrance in the central portion under the canopy of the gardens.
Okay.
And you can
Call
also
out first to see if anybody's around.
you can also hear the strumming of a guitar and a single voice singing inside the house.
It's not as good as mine though. Just gonna put that out there.
I know, professionalism in a bard.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that.
Anyway, whoever it is it sounds like uh, a, a ballad. It's in a language you don't recognize the words to, but it sounds like a love song.
Okay. Approach the door and call out, "Hello."
There's as you call out, there's a flurry near your feet as a small gaggle of chickens are aroused and go flapping away, screeching and squawking, throwing feathers all about, clucking and giving their disgust on you, interrupting their reverie. You can see the shiny surface of a couple of eggs in one of the local nests there.
Yeah.
I probably scared it right out of the chicken right there. So.
Scared the egg out of the chicken. That's a good one. She picks up the eggs, still hold them in her hand, and and so she can give them to the person whoever comes to the door.
What are you doing, Max? You came up with her, so
I'm going to stand by and make sure she doesn't get mugged or anything like that.
Okay. After a few minutes, the guitar stops almost immediately with your call, and you hear some hushed voices, and two small children come running to the doorway, silhouetted against the warm light of a fire inside. The children look out and go, "Who is it? Who is it?"
My name is Tariel Sa Era. My companion is Mr. Maxwell.
Yes.
We are been traveling on the road for a long time, and we just found this place, and we're hoping we could sleep in the barn or something.
About this time, there'd be the ominous flash of lightning and the crack of thunder, and you hear the first of precipitation starting to fall on the leaves above you. And it's at first a gentle hissing sound. The kids are still kind of staring at you. You can see that they're standing in what appear to be tiny nightgowns. It's a couple of young girls, and the older one keeps shifting her weight from one foot to the other like she's worried about something. And all of a sudden you hear a voice from behind her saying, "Shush, shush, shush, niñas, please, return to your chambers." And the little girls go running off. And this rather hirsute and gruff-looking gentleman comes to the door. He's got a guitar slung on his over his shoulder, the neck of it facing towards the ground, the barrel of the guitar, the body of the guitar up against his chest. It seems uncomfortably high up on his body. And he says, "What do you want, strangers?"
Well, if we could some place to sleep out of the storm.
"Oh, I see. Have you no shelter? Do you not know where you're going?"
Quite honestly, we don't know where we are.
Ah, you're not lost, are you?
No.
Well, we know that we're here, but we're not sure where here is. If you could
Oh,
give,
he turns to Maxwell and says, uh, is she lost?
I don't know. Why don't you ask her?
I did, and she gave me an ambiguous answer, hence I'm asking you, who are very clear that you are not lost.
Well, I can't answer for her, but I know that I am not
Really?
lost.
Do me a favor. Uh, punch her in the shoulder.
You know what? Why don't you do it? I can't really do something like that. Life
He
robs the ability of
he
that.
reaches for the neck of the guitar. He says, "Do it, or else I will have to take action to protect my family."
Why don't
wait a
you
minute.
punch her
Are
in the
are
shoulder?
you thinking that I might be a specter?
I asked you a question and you have not yet answered it clearly. Are you
Okay.
lost?
I am not lost.
He relaxes. You feel the he brushes the strings just lightly, and so the guitar does give off a bit of a tone. And he says, "Good. I would hate to have had to expel you. You may stay out under the veranda. There are hammocks and chases as well as some bedding materials. I will have my servants come and attend to you in a moment. I first have to make sure my children are back in their beds."
Yes, please do. You don't want them up during a storm.
Good grief. Hammocks. Are we not on land?
Okay,
This
so
isn't a
when
boat.
you turn and look, he's not talking a hammock in the old traditional. Have you seen those huge hanging beds, big fluffy pillow like duvets stacked inside, pillows up at one end, a long crossbar. There's enough room for three people to lie in one across, and they're made taut enough that there's none of the sagging of a
They're
hammock.
like hanging beds.
Right.
They're
Hmm.
like hanging beds.
It's literally
They're
a
called something.
luxurious.
It's like a swing. It's like a bed
Yeah, it's
swing
it.
or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
whatever it's called. It's very luxurious. It's if you wanted the way a friend of mine who slept in one of these in Mexico said. He says it's like falling asleep on a dream because you get into them and the sway of the bed is caused by the wind, and so you're getting rocked as well as the ultimate comfort of all of these blankets and stuff piled around you, and a cool evening breeze is like heaven.
Unorthodox, but it will do. Where will you sleep?
And the other one.
There's a couple different ones. By the way, though, by this time the mist that was falling is followed almost immediately by the tearing sound, and the first of the hailstones falls between the branches. Although the covering does protect you, it doesn't prevent an occasional chunk of hail to make it through. And beyond the edge of the veranda, you can see the hailstones about the size of small pebbles are starting to accumulate on the ground.
Okay.
Looking back down towards the road, you just see the sheet of white from the house's lights reflected off of them.
Okay.
Hmm. I will set my things down next to the bed and crawl into it.
Sure.
Well, she just takes the stuff with her and puts it up, above her head.
Oh yeah, they're not like I said. They're not going to fall down on the beds. They it's thick enough cover above them not to be a worry. But it just was
She
make
slips
you know.
off her boots and unlaces the jerkin, but other than that, she just falls asleep as she is.
Sure, plunks down on top of the blankets. No problem.
There's some song that says something about a cold winter's night, but I don't remember the beginning.
Mm.
On a cold winter's night, something.
All right. So down at the camp, you can hear the edge of the hail coming. Yeah, you saw the comforting, you felt the comforting mist, and then you see the hail coming. So you're able to batten down the hatches, so to speak, on your lean-to to prevent it from harming your teorbo. It only takes a few moments to pass, but there's probably a half an inch of hailstones out on the ground around you by the time it clears. Uh, by this time, Kasarak has come back up and had to use his druid craft to protect himself from the rainfall as well. More than likely, just picking up a branch and making it into a sort of a parasol.
Yep.
Traxxas will move his lean-to underneath whatever hammock that Kasarak makes himself. So it's like they're in bunk beds.
Yeah,
Okay.
sort of.
What was that, Robot Man?
So
He plays them a warming melody,
there you go. There you go.
one of comfort and respite, one you might hear by a campfire in an inn. You can
Nice.
almost hear the crackling of the fire and the strumming of the teorbo and the deep
Yes.
thrums of the warm soup
And-
going down your throat.
Yes, and poor Kasarak's thoughts can only naturally turn to food. It's like, damn it! This is the first time we haven't had a good meal. We had that great feast yesterday, and now nothing for a whole day. We didn't even think about eating yesterday.
Yeah, I kind of forgot I was hungry.
Yeah.
Might have been the vehicle that you're on.
The sweetest of meals is that which feeds the soul. You
So-
wish for a feast, and I'll give you one.
So the servants do come out. They're odd looking. They don't have really much of a nose. Their eyes are literally flat circles on their faces, and their mouths are just a slit.
Oh, that's creepy as hell.
Their heads are very cylindrical in shape and taper down to a very gangly, stringy body.
I'm glad I stayed out in the woods.
They're dressed in tiny, very tidy uniforms that are reminiscent of hurdy-gurdy monkeys, the little organ grinder monkeys.
A little
Oh.
red vest and a fez.
But instead of the vest, they're wearing a gold brocaded jacket with little tiny red buttons and a little pair of trousers that are only about knee length. And you notice that their feet have 4 toes, but they are in opposition direction from each other. So it looks like tiny hands at the end of their ankles.
Come here, my good man, and remove my shoes.
He comes over and helps you get out of your boots. He's not very talkative. He hasn't said anything to you, but he nodded exuberantly when you asked him to come over, and he quickly helps you get out of your boots. And a second of these creatures for each of you brings out a tray with tall glasses and what looks to be a pitcher of pale lemonade and a platter that has small puffy dough-like snacks, if you will. Beside that is a small bowl, and you can smell the richness of the honey coming from the bowls.
Oh, I bet you
I'm-
dip the dough in the honey.
Yes, these are sopas.
I am identifying all of it.
Yes, it is lemonade, and uncommonly sweet lemonade. There's no tartness or bitterness to the lemon
Nope.
at all.
No, what I meant was I'm casting identify on it.
I know, and I'm telling you what it is.
All right.
And the bread are called sopas and or sopapilla, and the honey is honey.
Yeah, very well. It couldn't hurt.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, and please.
Because you have identify on when the attendants are there, they are called pamphlicites. They are a vegetable-based being. You'll notice that in these cases, their hands have been. It looks like something grew out of the center of their palms, but those have been removed, so that they have weak fingers. So they have to kind of use both hands to do things, but nonetheless, they are able to function. They have basically 3 fingers on each hand and then 4 toes, and the 4 toes are splayed out. When they walk out, they stay on the stones, and one of them actually falls off balance and literally plants a foot. And when he does, as he lifts that foot back up, brambles and dirt are attached, and he has to wiggle, and there are tiny rootlings that weren't there before. So he clumps away, making a weird shuffling sound with that foot as he takes each step going back into the house. After he gets inside, there is a small burst of what clearly must be epithets in another language as the man of the house upbraids that particular pamphlocite.
For bringing in dirt.
Yeah, for letting his foot hit the dirt, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Quite desperate
Okay,
for.
thank you, our host, very much for the food.
You haven't seen the host since he had this brought out. He just sent them
I know, but she's telling them to thank him. But she doesn't know if we'll get.
Oh, they just turn and look at you with unblinking eyes, and you realize that the eyes may actually be painted on because they don't seem to actually be looking at anything in particular.
Oh.
Oi, da 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 da